It's 20 to 9 on a Thursday, on the ground floor of an office building. A woman is crossing the lobby toward the lifts with a full cup of coffee. Someone is already waiting there. A colleague from 2 floors down. She knows his name. He is, by every measure available, perfectly nice. She does not slow down. She does not speed up. She simply turns, without appearing to decide anything at all, and takes the stairs. 11 flights. In work shoes. Carrying an open cup. She is not avoiding him. She would tell you that, and she would mean it. She was simply in the mood for the stairs. So here is the question we'll follow through this film. Why would someone climb 11 flights of stairs to avoid 90 seconds of pleasant conversation with a person she has nothing whatsoever against? And what is that conversation actually for, if we are willing to pay this much to escape it? For a long time we have treated the answer as obvious. Small talk is empty. Filler. The noise people make while waiting for something real to start. But the emptiness is the strangest part of it, not the most boring. We have built an entire form of speech engineered to say nothing. In the years around the First World War, a Polish anthropologist was living on a chain of islands off New Guinea, sitting in on conversations he could not yet fully follow. His name was Bronislaw Malinowski. He had come for the important things. Ceremony, kinship, magic. What caught him instead was the talk in between. In the evenings people gathered and said things to each other that carried no information at all. That the fire was lit. That someone had arrived. That the day had been long. Nobody learned anything. Everyone present could see the fire. Everyone had watched the man walk up from the water. Malinowski could have written it off as noise. Instead he asked what it was doing. Years later, in an essay on meaning, he gave the thing a name. Phatic communion. His conclusion was that these words were not carrying meaning at all. They were carrying connection. Speech, here, was not a vehicle for thought. It was an act. The words were doing the work of a hand placed briefly on a shoulder. What was said did not matter. That something was said mattered entirely. And once you see it, you cannot stop seeing it. The rain is not the message. That there is a message at all is the message. Which explains the first strange thing about small talk. Its content is not weak by accident. It is weak by design. Consider what we actually choose to say. The weather. The traffic. The length of the queue. Subjects with one very particular property. Nobody owns them. You cannot be wrong about the rain. And you have not revealed a single thing about yourself by noticing it. And this is the part doing the real work. If the remark lands in silence, nothing has been rejected. Ask someone a real question and meet silence, and you have been refused. Say the traffic was terrible and meet silence, and you have simply commented on the traffic. Small talk is the only conversation we have ever engineered to be survivable if it fails. The emptiness is not a flaw in the form. The emptiness is the safety rail. We call it meaningless as though we had caught it out. We built it that way, deliberately, and we built it very well. But if the words are carrying nothing, something else has to be carrying the weight. And to find it, we have to leave the lobby entirely. Somewhere in a forest, 2 monkeys are sitting very close together, and one is picking slowly through the other's fur. It will do this for hours. Whole afternoons of a short life, spent moving its fingers through hair that is, by now, entirely clean. The fur is not the point. Grooming is not hygiene. It is time. The one currency an animal has no way of faking. To groom you, I have to hand you a piece of my afternoon that I cannot spend on anything else. The message is the minutes. The British anthropologist Robin Dunbar noticed the arithmetic hiding inside this. Grooming binds a group beautifully. And it does not scale. You can only groom one animal at a time, and hands are slow. Past a certain group size, there is simply not enough day. His proposal was that language is what happened next. A way to groom at a distance. A way to groom several at once, without touching anyone. Vocal grooming. And if that is what talk began as, then our conversation should be mostly grooming and hardly ever information. So Dunbar went and listened. Cafeterias, trains, bars. Recording what people actually talk about when nobody is directing them. Roughly 2/3 of the time, it was the social world. Who did what, and with whom. Not ideas. Not facts. Each other. We picture talk as a pipe, moving information between minds. Mostly, it is a hand, moving through fur, at range. Which tells us what the woman in the stairwell was really declining. Not 90 seconds of conversation. 90 seconds of contact. So we have a form that costs nothing, risks nothing, and delivers something we are built to need. And still she took the stairs. Here is where the design turns on us. Somewhere, we know what small talk is for. But it is not how we grade it. In the middle of it, we are not measuring contact. We are measuring content. The one thing that was never meant to matter. We ask ourselves, silently, at speed. Was that interesting? Was that funny? Did that sound like a person worth talking to? We are grading a handshake on its argument. And by that measure we fail every time, because there was never an argument to make. This is why it feels like work. The talk is not hard. The audit running underneath it is. And the audit gets louder exactly when we most want it quiet. The more it matters that we are liked, the closer we listen to ourselves, and the worse the talk goes. Anyone who has heard their own voice going brighter and thinner beside a fridge at 11 at night knows this feeling. 2 conversations at once. Only one of them out loud. But the worst of it is never the talk. It is the anticipation. The dread arrives before a word is spoken, and it is extremely confident. Just over a decade ago, in Chicago, 2 psychologists went down to a commuter rail platform to test that confidence. Nicholas Epley and Juliana Schroeder handed some commuters an instruction they did not want. On the ride in, talk to the stranger next to you. Others were told to keep to themselves and enjoy their solitude. Others simply to do whatever they always did. But first they asked a separate group of commuters to predict how it would go. The forecasts came back grim, and they came back agreed. Talking to a stranger would be the worst of the 3, easily. And anyway, they said, the stranger would not want to talk. Then they ran it. The people made to talk to a stranger had the most pleasant commute of anyone on that train. Not the most tolerable. The most pleasant. The solitude they had all been carefully protecting was the worse option, and every one of them was certain of the reverse. And the refusals they had feared? They mostly did not come. Almost nobody who was approached turned the conversation down. The train was full of people avoiding a conversation the rest of the train would have enjoyed. Now the turn. Because the forecast is wrong going in, and it turns out to be wrong coming out as well. When people finish a conversation with someone new, researchers ask them 2 things. How much did you enjoy that? And how much do you think they did? The other person is asked exactly the same. And the numbers do not match. We consistently underestimate how much we were liked. The researchers named it plainly. The liking gap. Both people walk away privately sure they were the heavier end of it. Both of them are wrong. Both of them are completely certain. So the woman in the stairwell and the man at the lift are not opponents at all. They are 2 people making the same mistake, in opposite directions, about each other. And yet the dread was never irrational. We were right that something was at risk. We were only wrong about what. Because strip the weather out of any one of those remarks, and the same sentence is underneath every time, wearing a costume. Will you meet me? That is the question small talk is asking. It is not a small question. It has never once been a small question. And the answer can be no. That part is real. That is why the body braces a little before the doors open. So we built the costume. Something about the cold. Something that can be dropped without anyone having to admit that it was dropped. Small talk is not the shallow end of conversation. It is the most exposed thing we ever say, wearing the flimsiest disguise we could find for it. We say it is unbearable. What is unbearable is the asking, not the talking. The talking is what we invented so that the asking would survive being refused. 11 floors up, the woman reaches her landing, out of breath, with the coffee somehow still level. And at that exact moment the lift doors open beside her, and the man from 2 floors down steps out and says something about the cold. She says something back. It takes 9 seconds. Nothing is exchanged. Nothing is learned. And they walk into the same office together, side by side, having told each other absolutely nothing. We spend our lives waiting for the talk to reach the part that counts. That was the part that counted. Neither of them will remember a word of it, and that is what it was for.